Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you all are safe and healthy. So today we are going to cover up the next 10 MCQs, that is from question number 81 to 90. In case you have missed out the earlier videos, please check out the description box below. I have given the link over there where you'll be able to get all the videos which have been covered till date. Also, in case you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on Telegram and LinkedIn. So the link of both of them is also given in the description box below. Yeah, let's start with question number 81 first. Question number 81 is given on page number 64 of the booklet. So let's begin. VBN and Associates Chartered Accountants are the statutory auditors of Gold Limited for the year ended 31st March 2020. While conducting the audit for the year, the auditor have come to know that the fraud amounting to rupees 2 crore was done by one of the employees. Under section 143 subsection 12 of Companies Act 2013, you are required to suggest whether as the statutory auditor, VBN and Associates is required. So first of all, you must be knowing section 143 subsection 12 में क्या लिखा है. अगर आपका 1 करोड़ से ज़्यादा का फ्रॉड होता है, then in that case you have to report the amount to CG. Right now, इस case में if you see the fraud amount is 2 crores. It is exceeding 1 crore, no doubt about that. So what do you think you'll have to do? You'll have to report this amount to the central government. So here it is written to report the fraud to Audit Committee, Board of Directors of Gold and in the auditor's report. Second option is to report it to the shareholders of Gold Limited and no further reporting. No, you have to report this amount in your audit report as well. If you know, कारो के अंदर भी आपका क्लॉज नंबर 10 होता है, पैरा 3 क्लॉज 10, जिसके अंदर आपको फ्रॉड से रिलेटेड रिपोर्टिंग करनी होती है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर देखते हैं. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज टू रिपोर्ट फ्रॉड ओनली इन द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट. नो, टू रिपोर्ट द फ्रॉड टू द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड इन द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट. सो द करेक्ट ऑप्शन वुड बी डी इन दिस केस. राइट, लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. अच्छा, आपको पता होगा SS 240 भी आपका फ्रॉड के केस में अप्लाई होता है, तो आपको ये सारी चीज़ें पता होनी चाहिए जब भी आप फ्रॉड से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन कर रहे हो. तो जस्ट रिकॉल ऑल दीज 3 थिंग्स एंड इससे रिलेटेड प्रोविजंस, तो आपको ईजी हो जाएगा टू सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन. ओके, लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. क्वेश्चन नंबर 82. OPE Limited issued a prospectus in respect of an IPO which had the auditor's report on the financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2020. So there is a prospectus being issued by a company and this is with respect to an IPO. Now auditor's report on the financial statements is also given in the prospectus. Now the issue was fully subscribed. During this year, there was an abnormal rise in the profits of the company, for which it was found later on that it was of the manipulated sales in which there was a participation of whole-time director and other top officials of the company. On discovery of this fact, the company offered to refund all the monies to the subscribers of the shares and sued the auditors for the damages, alleging that the auditors failed to examine and ascertain any satisfactory explanation for steep increase and in the rate of profits and related accounts. So here what is happening is कि कंपनी के जो प्रॉफिट्स हैं वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा एबनॉर्मली राइज कर रहे थे एंड बाद में जाके पता चलता है इट वाज रियलाइज्ड दैट दीज वर ड्यू टू द मैनिपुलेटेड सेल्स थी, इसी वजह से प्रॉफिट्स बहुत ज़्यादा इंक्रीज लग रहे थे एंड दिस हैपेंड बिकॉज देयर वाज अ पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ द होल टाइम डायरेक्टर्स एंड द अदर टॉप ऑफिशियल्स ऑफ द कंपनी. नाउ इफ यू रिमेंबर ऐसे 240 में भी इट इज मेंशन व्हेन द टॉप ऑफिशियल्स आर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन अ फ्रॉड देन इट बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट फॉर द ऑडिटर टू आइडेंटिफाई वेदर देयर इज एनी फ्रॉड और नॉट. राइट, बट हियर व्हाट द company is saying that they will sue the auditors because they have failed to examine and ascertain that why this increase in the sudden increase, abnormal rise was there in the profits and why they were not questioning this. Okay, so now the company emphasized that the auditor should have proceeded with suspicion and should not have followed the selected verification. Okay, the auditors were able to prove that they found the internal controls to be satisfactory and did not find any circumstance to arouse the suspicion. Do you think the auditors are correct? Yes, the auditors tried to check if there is any misstatement or if there are any risks of material misstatements. For that they checked that whether the internal controls are operating effectively or not. So after checking that, they were able to prove कि हाँ, the internal controls were working effectively, efficiently. That is why they did not find anything suspicious in that. Okay, so that is why, considering the materiality also, they were not able to go in detail checking of the profits. Now the company was not able to prove that the auditors were negligent in performance of their duties, so there was no professional negligence on the part of auditors. This is being mentioned why? Because the company was unable to prove that there was any negligence on the part of auditors. Now please suggest your views on this. The stand of the company was correct in this case. Considering the nature of the work, the auditors should have proceeded with suspicion and should not have followed the selected verification. Do you think so? No. Why? First of all, the the auditors proved this point that they found the internal controls to be satisfactory, and that is why the suspicion did not came to their way. That is why they have proved their point कि ठीक है सब कुछ सही था, इसी वजह से उन्होंने कुछ भी आगे प्रोसीड नहीं किया. सिमिलरली कंपनी भी अगर हम देखें तो they were not able to prove कि नेग्लिजेंट थे ऑडिटर्स. सो इन दिस केस किसके साइड में बॉल है, कोर्ट के किस साइड में बॉल है, तो ऑडिटर्स यहाँ पर अब के जीत रहे हैं फिलहाल. तो दैट इज़ वाई कंपनी का स्टैंड जो है वो करेक्ट बिल्कुल भी नहीं माना जाएगा. Let's move on to the next point. The approach of the auditors look reasonable in this case. The auditors found internal controls to be satisfactory and also did not find any circumstance to arouse the suspicion, and hence they performed their procedures and on the basis of the selected verification. So this answer seems to be correct. Why? Because the approach was correct. Approach में कोई गलती नहीं थी कि क्योंकि internal control सही थे तो definitely they were able to rely on the work. ठीक है, तो वहाँ पर अगर कहीं गलती होती या फिर कुछ ऐसा इवेंट होता जिसकी वजह से उनको सस्पिशियस लग रहा होता, कोई इवेंट जिसकी वजह से उनको लगता है कि उनको और डिटेल चेकिंग करने की ज़रूरत है, तब हम मानते कि ऑडिटर्स इग्नोरेंट थे, उन्होंने देखा नहीं, यहाँ पर तो सस्पिशन होना चाहिए था. बट यहाँ पर ऐसा कुछ था नहीं, उनकी अप्रोच काफ़ी क्लियर थी और काफ़ी सही भी थी. तो दैट इज़ व्हाई दिस सीम्स टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर एज ऑफ नाउ, बट वी आर गोइंग टू स्टिल रीड द अदर 2 points. In C option they have given is, in the given case the auditors should have involved various experts along with them to help them on the audit procedure. Do you think audit procedures के लिए we need to take help from the experts? No. Auditing और accounting के लिए तो हमें देखने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं होती, experts की help लेनी ही नहीं होती. इनफैक्ट आपको ऐसे 620 पता होगा, उसके अंदर मेंशन्ड है ये. Now prospectus is one area wherein the management involves various experts and hence the auditors should have done that. In the given case, by not involving experts, the auditors did not perform their job in professional manner. So no, सारी लाइंस गलत आ रही हैं, इसलिए आगे रीड करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Let's move on to the next point. In the case of such type of engagements, the focus is always on the management controls. If the controls are found to be effective, then an auditor can never be held liable in respect of deficiency of misstatement or fraud. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है कि मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल्स पर ही सिर्फ फोकस होता है. अगर कोई ऐसा इवेंट लगता है जिसकी वजह से ऑडिटर को कोई डाउट आता कि नो दिस सीम्स टू बी इनकरेक्ट और यहाँ पर कुछ रिस्क लग रहा है ऑफ मटीरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट, तो डेफिनेटली ऑडिटर वुड हैव चेक्ड फर्दर, डिटेल चेकिंग करी होती, अपने NTE ऑफ सब्सटैंटिव प्रोसीजर्स को इंक्रीज किया होता. बट यहाँ पर सिंस the compliance procedure, after applying the compliance procedures, he found the controls to be effective. That is why he kept the NTE of substantive procedures to be low. So yeah, here the auditors were correct in their approach, so that is why the correct option would be B. Okay, let's move on to the 83rd question. Kshitij and a group of persons subscribed to the shares of JNN Limited. JNN Limited had issued a prospectus for issuance of shares against which the persons had subscribed the shares. तो जब भी prospectus वाली बात आती है ना, तो आपको liabilities of auditor वाला chapter याद आ रहा होगा, क्योंकि उसमें prospectus से related काफ़ी सारे provisions दे रखे हैं. Now it was later on found out that some of the information as included in the prospectus was misleading. These persons filed a case against the company covering all the parties who were responsible for prospectus on the ground that the information contained in the prospectus was misleading and they suffered losses by relying on that information. Okay, so the case has been filed. The company consulted this matter with the legal consultants in respect of course of action to be taken and also consulted that if the outcome of the case goes against the company, then which all parties may be held liable and what could be the other consequences. The prospectus included auditor's report who had also given his clearance. Some of the experts were also involved in respect of the information on which the litigation was filed. So there were auditors involved, there were experts involved. Okay. Now subsequently it was proved that the contention of Kshitij and those persons are correct. It was held that the directors, promoters of the company and the experts, okay, so they have taken all of them except the auditors. उन्होंने सबको यहाँ पर ड्रैग कर लिया कि सभी रिस्पॉन्सिबल हैं, they are involved and would be liable to pay compensation to all these persons who had sustained the losses or any damage. The auditors of the company were also asked to make good the losses, but they refused with an argument that it is limited to directors, promoters and experts. Now, in this particular case, if you remember section 35 from Liabilities of Auditor chapter only, there is a section 35 जिसके अंदर prospectus से related बातें ही लिखी हुई हैं, जहाँ पर बताया हुआ है कि experts की definition में आपका chartered accountant भी आ जाता है. And since यहाँ पर if you see कि expert को भी liable माना गया है, तो expert liable है तो definitely the auditor is also liable. Why? Because experts की definition में it is being mentioned कि engineering और वगैरह वगैरह बहुत सारी qualifications mentioned and one word is written, chartered accountant is also a expert. So that is why if the expert is held guilty, then of course the auditor is also. But यहाँ पर अगर हम देखें तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ वो किस चीज़ के लिए लाइबल होगा, ही विल बी लाइबल फॉर दी ही विल बी लाइबल फॉर ऑल द लॉसेस दैट हैव अकर्ड टू द पर्सन्स जिन्होंने भी उस प्रोस्पेक्टस पर रिलाई किया था. ठीक है, सो लेट्स सी व्हाट ऑप्शंस दे हैव गिवन. फर्स्ट ऑप्शन इज द आर्ग्यूमेंट ऑफ द ऑडिटर्स इज वैलिड. तो वैलिड तो नहीं है, वाई, बिकॉज दे आर कवर्ड अंडर द डेफिनेशन एक्सपर्ट्स. अगर एक्सपर्ट्स ड्रैग होंगे तो डेफिनेटली सीए विल ऑल्सो बी ड्रैग्ड. नाउ द आर्ग्यूमेंट ऑफ द ऑडिटर्स इज वैलिड. वैलिड वाला ऑप्शन आप फटाफट से कट कर दो. सेकंड इज नॉट वैलिड, और यहाँ पर देखते हैं क्या लिखा होगा. तो सी और डी पढ़ने हैं सिर्फ. The argument of the auditors is not valid. The final outcome of the litigation covers the experts, and hence the auditors also get covered to contribute towards the losses and suffered by the person. So बिल्कुल exactly explanation दे रहा है कि क्या कि argument जो ऑडिटर को वैलिड नहीं है, जो फाइनल आउटकम है लिटिगेशन का वो एक्सपर्ट्स को कवर कर रहा है, एंड इसी वजह से ऑडिटर्स भी, एंड हेंस, यहाँ पर देखो कितना सही वर्ड है, देखो इसलिए प्रोविजंस को पढ़ना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड हेंस द ऑडिटर्स ऑल्सो गेट कवर्ड टू कंट्रीब्यूट टुवर्ड्स द लॉसेस सफर्ड बाय द पर्सन्स. समझ आ गया आपको? क्यों? क्योंकि एक्सपर्ट्स अगर कवर हो रहे हैं तो एक्सपर्ट्स तो सीए भी एक एक्सपर्ट होता है, एंड ही वाज आल्सो इन्वॉल्व्ड. तो इसी वजह से दिस पॉइंट ऑफ ऑडिटर इज टोटली इनवैलिड. Let's move on to the next point. The outcome of the litigation seems to be completely wrong. we तो कह रहे हैं litigation का जो outcome है वही गलत है. The directors, experts were held liable, but along with that the statutory auditors, internal auditor, tax auditors, company secretary, tax consultants and legal advisors should also be held liable. Further, the promoters cannot be held liable in these matters. तो ये बिल्कुल गलत है. ठीक है, so the correct answer in this case is going to be C. Right? Let's move on to the next question. Question number 84. JK Limited is a company engaged in the business of software development. It is one of the largest companies in this sector with a turnover of INR 25,000 crores. The operations of the company are increasing constantly. However, the focus of the management is more on cost cutting in the coming years to improve its profitability. In respect of the financial statements of the company, which are used by various stakeholders, some deficiencies were observed in respect of assets reported therein, due to which those stakeholders suffered damages. As a result, those stakeholders went into civil action against the company, including all those parties who had the responsibility in respect of those financial statements. The statutory auditors of the company were also roped in. The statutory auditors went against the civil action and were able to prove that there was no professional negligence on their part. So if you remember, liabilities of auditor chapter के अंदर ही हमने पढ़ा था professional negligence की definition. Professional negligence क्या होता है? कोई भी failure जिसमें आपको जो duties perform करनी थी आप उस duty को perform नहीं कर पाए, you failed to perform that duty, and that duty was mentioned as per the professional standards, which has resulted in some loss, damage, या फिर it was detrimental to the party who had engaged a professional, right? So in this particular case, कोई भी एक्ट ऑफ ओमिशन होता है जहाँ पर सिविल लाइबिलिटी अराइज हो जाती है कि आपको सिविल लाइबिलिटी अराइज हो गई ना, यू हैव टू कॉम्पनसेट, उस केस में हम बोलते हैं प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस हुआ है. प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस के एलिमेंट्स क्या क्या होते थे? एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ ड्यूटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, अकरेंस ऑफ ब्रीच और लॉस और डैमेज, ये सारे एलिमेंट्स होते थे. जो प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस होता है, दिस इज नेसेसरली रेस्ट्रिक्टेड टू ड्यूटीज इन अ प्रोफेशनल कैपेसिटी. ना अब इसके पर्टिकुलर केस में, इफ यू रिमेंबर, स्टडी मटेरियल में एक लाइन दी हुई थी, इनफैक्ट एक केस लॉ दे रखा था जिसके अंदर मेंशन था कि ऐसे केसेस में जहाँ पर प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस नहीं थी ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ ऑडिटर, बट ही ओनली फेल्ड और देयर वाज अ फॉल्ट of the auditor only on the basis of technical nature, only because of the technical nature, उस पर्टिकुलर केस में ऑडिटर को सिर्फ और सिर्फ पेनल्टी पे करने की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, डैमेजेस पे करने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं होती. वाई? बिकॉज द फॉल्ट वॉज ऑफ द डायरेक्टर्स जो कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल थे, एंड द ऑडिटर्स फॉल्ट वॉज जस्ट टेक्निकल इन नेचर एंड नॉट प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस वॉज नॉट देयर. सो इन केस प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस वॉज नॉट देयर, जो हम ऑडिटर्स हैं उनको हम डैमेजेस पे करने के लिए नहीं बोल सकते, पेनल्टी पे करने के लिए तो बिल्कुल बोलेंगे. नाउ इट वॉज डिसाइडेड दैट अ लॉस वॉज ओकेजन्ड थ्रू द नेग्लिजेंस ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स. नेग्लिजेंस किसके पार्ट पर हुआ है? नेग्लिजेंस वॉज ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स बट नॉट द ऑडिटर्स. ऑडिटर्स की तो कोई प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस थी ही नहीं, एंड द फॉल्ट ऑफ ऑडिटर इन फेलिंग टू वेरीफाई द एसेट कंसिडर्ड टू बी ओनली टेक्निकल. सो एक्जैक्टली सेम लाइन आपको स्टडी मटेरियल के अंदर मिल जाएगी, लाइबिलिटीज ऑफ ऑडिटर चैप्टर के अंदर, जो कि एक केस लॉ को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है जिसमें लाइन लिखी हुई है. तो दैट इज वाई इन दैट केस लॉ ऑल्सो इट हैज़ बीन मेंशन्ड दैट सिर्फ और सिर्फ पेनल्टी इम्पोज की जाएगी, डैमेजेस आप रिकवर नहीं कर सकते फ्रॉम द ऑडिटर्स. अगर प्रोफेशनल नेग्लिजेंस होता तो डेफिनेटली डैमेजेस भी रिकवर होते. नाउ ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द अबव फैक्ट्स, व्हाट शुड बी द करेक्ट ऑप्शन आउट ऑफ द फॉलोइंग? So the first option is a penalty should be levied on the auditors, but that should not be equivalent to the damages suffered by the stakeholders नेक्स्ट लाइन इज द डैमेजेस वुड बी रिक्वायर्ड टू बी मेड गुड बाय द डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ द कंपनी. बिल्कुल ठीक लिख रहे हैं कि जो डैमेजेस हैं वो डायरेक्टर्स ही पे करेंगे, बट पेनल्टी विल बी लेवीड ऑन द ऑडिटर्स. ठीक है. नाउ बोथ द ऑडिटर्स एंड द डायरेक्टर्स शुड बी हेल्ड लायबल. नो, द ऑडिटर्स विल नॉट बी लायबल. The auditors and the directors should have been held liable in this case. No, since the fault of the auditor is limited to technical in nature, he cannot be held liable for any penalty or damages. No, penalty तो लगेगी, damages recover नहीं कर सकते हैं. So that is why the correct option would be A in this case. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 85. KKR Limited is a medium-sized company. Okay, so KKR is a medium-sized company engaged in the business of e-commerce. The company's operations have remained stable over the years and its profitability has been going down. The company also ventured into different markets over the last few years, but that has not helped much in terms of growth of business or increasing the profitability. The company's immediate plan is to expand its operations with focus on increasing the profitability. The company was looking for funds to achieve this objective and issued a prospectus to the public to subscribe to its shares. The financial statements of the company for the year ended 31st March 2020 included in the prospectus showed a very different picture of the company, particularly in respect of profits. तो यहाँ पर गलती है, जो एक्चुअल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स थे वो काफ़ी डिफरेंट थे. जब हमने प्रोस्पेक्टस में उसको देखा, इट रिफ्लेक्टेड अ डिफरेंट पिक्चर ऑल टुगेदर. उस किस रिस्पेक्ट में? इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ द प्रॉफिट्स. क्यों? क्योंकि प्रॉफिट से तो मतलब होगा उसी के बेसिस पर द यूजर्स आर गोइंग टू डिसाइड अ लॉट ऑफ things. Now it was later on found that some of the information contained in the prospectus was misstated, that is it was untrue, misleading to attract the public and to subscribe to the shares of the company. तो यहाँ पर तो बहुत बड़ी गलती हो रही है. Now, legal action was taken against by the stakeholders against the company, including its auditors, and the company's management directors were confident that they will not be required to face any action, considering the fact that the financial statements were duly audited by the reputed chartered accountants firm. If at all any problem arises, it would be the responsibility of the auditors. तो मैनेजमेंट क्या कह रही है, भैया हम तो फ्री हैं, हम तो बिल्कुल भी फंसने नहीं वाले. Why? Because it is the responsibility of the auditors now, because they have audited the financial statement. Do you think कि financial statements audit हो गई तो मैनेजमेंट की responsibility खत्म हो जाती है? No. Why? Because the preparation responsibility was on the management, and this is mentioned in the auditor's report also. Now let's see. Please advise whether anyone can be held liable in this matter or not. Anyone can be held liable or not, ये हमें बताना है. If yes, what action can be taken against him or them? If no, what should be the corrective action? In this particular case, since the auditors have authorized the issue of prospectus, तो यहाँ पर definitely auditors की भी mistake है. They will be held liable under section 447 for fraud, because fraud has happened definitely. The information was totally incorrect, और काफ़ी clearly भी दिख रहा है कि जब information different आ रही है prospectus issue होते टाइम, तो definitely there is a fraud. दूसरी चीज़, यहाँ पे डायरेक्टर्स और मैनेजमेंट भी बचेंगे नहीं. दे विल ऑल्सो भी हेल्ड गिल्टी. सेक्शन 448 के अंदर लिखा है कि अगर कोई गलत इन्फॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड करता है, नोइंगली फॉल्स और मिसलीडिंग इन्फॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड करता है, सो दोज पर्सन्स विल ऑल्सो भी लाइबल अंडर सेक्शन 447. ठीक है, वो भी लाइबल होंगे. बट यहाँ पर लेट्स सी उन्होंने क्या ऑप्शंस दिए हैं, उसके बेसिस पर वी आर गोइंग टू डिसाइड. तो यहाँ पर द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द डायरेक्टर्स इज करेक्ट एंड द ऑडिटर्स शुड बी हेल्ड लाइबल फॉर 447. नो, ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ ऑडिटर्स फंसेंगे, डायरेक्टर्स भी फंसेंगे. द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द डायरेक्टर्स इज रॉन्ग. दे वुड बी हेल्ड लाइबल अंडर section 447 of the Companies Act and not the auditors, because the responsibility of prospectus lies with the management. No, since the auditors have authorized the issue of prospectus, they are also dragged into this. So this may lead to criminal liability, wherein every person who authorizes the issue of prospectus shall be liable under section 447 fraud. बिल्कुल ठीक. This may lead to civil liability. Civil liability नहीं है, पर ये वाली चीज़ criminal liability हो जाती है. आपको ये section number 34 है लाइबिलिटीज़ ऑफ ऑडिटर के चैप्टर के अंदर, जिसके अंदर ये मेंशनड है कि ये क्रिमिनल लाइबिलिटी के अंदर कवर्ड होगा, बिकॉज एनीवन हु ऑथराइजेज द इशू ऑफ प्रोस्पेक्टस एंड ही न्यू कि कुछ ना कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन फॉल्स है, मिसलीडिंग है, मिसस्टेटेड है, तो उस पर्टिकुलर केस में द पर्सन हु ऑथराइजेज द इशू इज ऑल्सो लाइबल. ठीक है, सो ऑल्सो द डायरेक्टर्स विल बी हेल्ड लाइबल, क्योंकि उन्होंने इन्फॉर्मेशन फॉल्स प्रोवाइड किया एंड दे हैव ऑल्सो ऑथराइज्ड कि हाँ प्रोस्पेक्टस को इशू कर दो. सो दैट इज वाई दे विल ऑल्सो बी हेल्ड लाइबल अंडर सेक्शन 447. ठीक है, ऑल ऑफ देम विल बी लाइबल इन शॉर्ट. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन तो इस केस में आपका आंसर आपको पता ही है, आंसर आपका हो जाएगा सी. ठीक है, लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन नंबर 86. Vimal Kumar, a chartered accountant by profession, has been into practice for over 6 years. He developed a specialization in respect of matters related to income tax and hence got various clients to whom he was advising. Other than the taxation work, Vimal was very good, also good in accounting matters, but he could not develop his business clientele, the accounting services, over a period. Now, he used to represent his clients in respect of income tax return. So he is representative of his clients, authorized representative की तरह काम कर रहा है. For one of his clients, he is an authorized representative, prepared the return of income and furnished the same and other requirements or documents, the particular of accounts, statements, other documents supplied to him by the assessee for the preparation of return to the assessing officer. Now, he had also conducted an examination of the record, submitted to a report on the scope and results of the examination. So not सिर्फ और सिर्फ इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न ही नहीं प्रिपेयर कर रहा, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ ऑथराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ही नहीं बन रहा. इनफैक्ट जो भी इन्फॉर्मेशन क्लाइंट उसको प्रोवाइड करती है तो उसको एग्जामिन भी करता है और उसके ऊपर वो रिपोर्ट भी सबमिट कर रहा है. The assessee in this case was very good client of Vimal and also used to pay him a very good remuneration. Now, in order to provide some benefits to the assessee, Vimal provided certain information to the assessing officer which was found to be false later on. तो यहाँ पर आपका जो CA है वो थोड़ा सा फेवर करने की कोशिश कर रहा है क्लाइंट को. Why? Because he was getting a lucrative remuneration or very fancy remuneration from the client. Now, since Vimal only acted as a representative of the assessee, he cannot be held liable. तो नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ representative है इसीलिए वो liable नहीं होगा. No, he will be liable if you remember section number 277 ऑफ इनकम टैक्स एक्ट. उसके अंदर मेंशनड है क्लियरली. ये भी चैप्टर आपका लाइबिलिटीज़ ऑफ ऑडिटर में से क्वेश्चन है. लाइबिलिटीज़ ऑफ ऑडिटर इनफैक्ट, जिसके अंदर सेक्शन नंबर 277 कवर्ड है, जहाँ पर मेंशनड है कि अगर कोई भी ऑथराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन गलत प्रोवाइड करता है, नोइंग दिस स्पेशली इफ आई से इफ अ CA knows or believes that the information which is mentioned in the report is false या फिर untrue, then he'll be given a punishment and he'll be imprisoned for a period of 7 years and fine also. So fine is also levied in this case. So definitely the chartered accountant is liable. यहाँ तो ये गलत हो गया कि he is not liable. No, the given matter does not only relate to submission of the return of income but also covers examination of those records, correct है, and a report on scope and results of examination by a chartered accountant. Because of the professional responsibilities placed on a CA, it becomes his duty to carry out all the tasks in an objective manner, free from any bias. Hence, Vimal would be liable to a penalty of ₹7 crores and imprisonment of 7 years. तो 7 crores की penalty वाली बात नहीं है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ 7 years लिखा हुआ है and a fine लिखा हुआ है. In the section 277, Vimal would be liable to rigorous imprisonment which may extend to 7 years. देखो यहाँ पर और इन दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या था. यहाँ पर बोला था he will be imprisoned for a period of 7 years which is incorrect. उसमें लिखा है extends to 7 years which means 7 years से कम भी हो सकता है. ठीक है, 7 years से कम भी हो सकता है बट मैक्सिमम कितना है 7 years. सो यहाँ पर है Vimal would be liable to a rigorous imprisonment which may be extended to 7 years and to a fine. ठीक है, बिल्कुल. Vimal and his assessee would be liable to a penalty which may extend to 1 crores further because of the fact that a particular submitted with the assessing officer belong to assessee, hence assessee would also be liable to imprisonment. तो पहले तो यही चीज़ गलत हो गई, imprisonment की बात नहीं कर रखी, इसीलिए that is why the option number D is incorrect. So the correct option in this case would be C. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 87. The board of directors of Young Limited, a listed company, appointed Mr. Old, a cost accountant not in practice. So listed company का केस है, cost accountant को appoint किया है, but that cost accountant is not into practice. किस लिए appoint किया है? To conduct the internal audit of the functions and activities of the company. So first question from here, whether there is a necessity कि आपको internal auditor जो है, that internal auditor should be a कॉस्ट अकाउंटेंट और अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट इन प्रैक्टिस. नो, कॉस्ट अकाउंटेंट या फिर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट कोई भी आप किसी को भी एज एन इंटरनल ऑडिटर अपॉइंट कर सकते हो एंड देयर इज नो सच रिक्वायरमेंट दैट पर्सन शुड बी अ पर्सन हु इज इन प्रैक्टिस में है नहीं है उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, बस कॉस्ट अकाउंटेंट या CA होना चाहिए. दैट ऑल्सो इफ यू रिमेंबर सेक्शन नंबर 138 के अंदर इंटरनल ऑडिटर्स की सारी बातें लिखी हुई हैं, सारे प्रोविजंस हैं, एंड लिस्टेड एंटिटीज़ के ऊपर इट इज़ कंपलसरी दैट दे शुड अपॉइंट एन इंटरनल ऑडिटर. ठीक है, ये बस रिविजन के लिए था पॉइंट. Now, the job of Mr. Old would be of an independent management function involving continuous and critical appraisal of the functioning of the company with a view to suggest improvements and add value to strengthen the overall governance mechanism of the company, including the entity's risk management internal control system. However, some of the officers of the company are against the appointment of cost accountant who is not in practice as an internal auditor. So their issue is that they are saying since this person is not into practice, we cannot appoint him as the internal auditor. Are they correct in saying so? No. State whether those officers are correct or not in their viewpoint by referring to the provisions of Companies Act. So in case of as per section 138 it is very much clear कि वो व्यू पॉइंट ऑफ ऑफिसर इज नॉट करेक्ट. तो जहाँ पर भी करेक्ट लिखा है सबसे पहले तो उसको काट दो. तो यहाँ पर तो 3 ऑप्शन है ऑटोमेटिकली एलिमिनेट हो गए. सो करेक्ट आंसर वुड बी डी. The viewpoint of the officers is incorrect because as per section 138 of Companies Act, the internal auditor shall either be a chartered accountant, cost accountant, whether in practice or not, or such other professional as may be decided by the board. बिल्कुल ठीक लिखा हुआ है. The correct answer in this case would be D. Let's move on to the next question, question number 88. Employees of GIG Limited have to travel frequently for business purposes, so the company entered into a contract with Simini Travels Limited for managing booking, cancellation and other services required by their employees. As per the contract terms, Simini Travels has to raise its monthly bills for the tickets booked or cancelled during the period, and the same are paid by GIG Limited within a period of 15 days of the bill date. The bills raised by Simini Travels were of huge amount, so the management of GIG Limited decided to get an audit conducted of the process followed for booking, cancellation of tickets and verify the accuracy of bills raised by the travel agency. Which audit do you feel the management should opt for? तो यहाँ पर if you see what are they trying to say is कि उनको processes को चेक करना है, उनको देखना है कि किस तरीके से वो काम कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो बिल्स जो हैं वो काफ़ी ह्यूज अमाउंट के हैं, तो मैनेजमेंट चाहती है कि वो ऑडिट करवाए किस चीज़ का, प्रोसेसेस का, कि क्या प्रोसेस फॉलो किया जा रहा है बुकिंग के टाइम, कैंसिलेशन के टाइम, और देखा जाए कि क्या वो जो बिल्स रेज किए जा रहे हैं वो करेक्ट हैं या नहीं, एक्यूरेट हैं या नहीं. तो यहाँ पर जो देखा जा रहा है वो यहाँ पर आपकी बात हो रही है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द ऑपरेशंस ऑफ द कंपनी, द ऑपरेशंस ऑफ सिमनी लिमिटेड, द ऑपरेशंस ऑफ सिमनी ट्रैवल्स, जिससे कि पता चले किस तरीके से वो ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. राइट. सो यहाँ पर आपका जो ऑडिट फीजिबल रहेगा वो ऑपरेशनल ऑडिट फीजिबल रहेगा. यहाँ पर आपके इंटरनल कंट्रोल चेक करने के लिए नहीं हो रहा कि ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की कितनी है. नो, व्हाट दे आर ट्राइंग टू सी इज कि कैसे ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, क्या प्रोसीजर है, क्या तरीका है जैसे वो मूव फॉरवर्ड कर रहे हैं. सो यहाँ पर ऑपरेशनल ऑडिट करेक्ट ऑप्शन होगा एज इट इज़ द ऑडिट फॉर द मैनेजमेंट एंड इन्वॉल्व्स वेरीफाइंग द इफेक्टिवनेस, एफिशिएंसी एंड इकोनॉमी ऑफ द ऑपरेशंस done by Simini Travels for the organization. So the correct answer in this case would be D. ठीक है. Now let's do the next question. Question number 89. DM Limited appointed Messrs. KK and Company Chartered Accountants as statutory auditors. The statutory auditors found the internal audit function reliable and effective. Now the internal audit function काफ़ी ज़्यादा रिलायबल है, काफ़ी ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव है, बहुत अच्छी बात है. The statutory auditor assigned the task of assessing the inventory levels for a few branches where the statutory auditor believed that there might be some risk of material misstatement to one of the internal auditors, Mr. Ryan. So यहाँ पर आपको साफ साफ पता चल रहा होगा SA 610 का रेफरेंस दिया जा रहा है. SA 610 के हिसाब से जो स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर होता है वो इंटरनल ऑडिटर का काम यूज़ कर सकता है. ऑल्सो ही कैन डायरेक्टली असिस्ट हिम, उसकी डायरेक्ट ऑल्सो ही कैन टेक द डायरेक्ट असिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द इंटरनल ऑडिटर वेर एवर रिक्वायर्ड. बट वहाँ पे कुछ पॉइंट्स लिखे थे कि इन पॉइंट्स को कंसिडर करो, और इन पॉइंटर्स में स्पेसिफिकली यू शुड नॉट टेक द हेल्प ऑफ द इंटरनल ऑडिटर. डायरेक्ट असिस्टेंस नहीं लेना चाहिए बिकॉज ऑफ द मटीरियलिटी, बिकॉज ऑफ द रिस्क इन्वॉल्व. और यहाँ पर क्या बोल रहे हैं, यहाँ पर स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर कह रहा है कि जहाँ पर रिस्क ऑफ मटीरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट के चांसेस लग रहे हैं वही हम इंटरनल ऑडिटर को काम देने का सोच रहे हैं. डू यू थिंक दिस इज राइट? नो. Since the internal auditor had recently done such assessment as part of their internal audit program, therefore the statutory auditor believed that they could rely on the former's report. Besides this, because of the paucity of time, that is shortage of time, lack of time, the statutory auditors also requested Mr. Ryan to help in some paperwork including documentation. Do you think audit documentation internal auditor से कराना चाहिए? No, it is the responsibility of the statutory auditor. उससे थोड़ी ना कराना चाहिए था. Before the audit was concluded, Mr. Ryan got promoted and shifted to another city. During the discussion stage, the lead auditor found out that the documentation delegated to Mr. Ryan was not complete. Accordingly, the statutory auditor further checked the inventory work delegated to the internal auditor. However, it was found to be satisfactory. In the view of above case scenario, state which of the following statements hold true. The first option is the working of internal audit function was reliable and satisfactory. Therefore, the allocation of inventory level work was within the authority of the statutory auditor, and this was further confirmed by the satisfactory work. No. यहाँ पर ये आपने गलती कर दी, आप उनको ये काम नहीं दे सकते थे. The documentation would be considered complete as far as the statutory auditor's responsibility is concerned, as the missing documentation was because of oversight of the internal auditor. No. Next option is since the internal auditor had conducted the similar inventory level checking after checking activity recently, therefore because of familiarity with the audit, the statutory auditor was right in delegating the same to the internal auditor. No, he was not right. ये काम उसको खुद करना चाहिए था क्योंकि वहाँ पर उसको क्या लग रहा था कि रिस्क इन्वॉल्व है. Statutory auditors should not have delegated the inventory level checking to the internal auditor as the risk assessed was material. बिल्कुल ठीक. Further, the audit documents are statutory auditors' property and responsibility as per which standard as per SA 230. ये वाला कौन सा स्टैंडर्ड के हिसाब से मैंने बोला था कि ऐसा नहीं कर सकते, SA 610. ठीक है. ऑल्सो द स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर्स शुड मेंटेन द कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी ड्यूरिंग ऑल द स्टेजेस ऑफ ऑडिट. बिल्कुल ठीक बोला जा रहा है. देयरफॉर इट वाज रॉन्ग ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर टू हैंड ओवर द टास्क ऑफ ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन टू द इंटरनल ऑडिटर. सो एक एक बात बिल्कुल सही लिख रखी है ऑप्शन नंबर डी के अंदर. सो द करेक्ट आंसर ऑफ क्वेश्चन नंबर व्हाट इज दिस, क्वेश्चन नंबर 89, क्वेश्चन नंबर 89 आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी डी. ओके, let's move on to the next question, question number 90, last question for today. IMIR INC is a major technology, engineering, manufacturing and financial services conglomerate. Conglomerate क्या होती है? कोई ग्रुप होता है जिसके अंदर काफ़ी सारी फर्म्स को, मतलब अगर आप लार्ज ग्रुप होता है जिसके अंदर काफ़ी सारी फर्म्स होती हैं, ठीक है, उस ग्रुप के अंदर, तो उसको कॉन्ग्लोमरेट बोला जाता है. विद ग्लोबल ऑपरेशंस हैविंग इट्स रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस इन यूएस. द कंपनीज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फुटप्रिंट्स एक्सटेंड्स अक्रॉस 8 countries in addition to US. It has several international offices and a supply chain that extends around the globe. HIN Private Limited, प्राइवेट कंपनी है, एक मिड-साइज्ड फास्ट मूविंग इलेक्ट्रिकल गुड्स कंपनी है एंड इज ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व इन पावर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. दिस कंपनी बेस्ड इन इंडिया enjoys a good market share and a wide spectrum of products like industrial and domestic circuit protection devices, cables, wires, fans, commercial and industrial appliances or applications. IMIR INC, that is the acquirer, is currently in talks to acquire HIN Private Limited, that is the target company. The initial price has been agreed for acquisition of business based on net worth profitability of the target company, with an assumption that all the contingent liabilities of the target company impacting its future business have been considered. The acquirer appointed a firm to carry out the financial due diligence review of the target company and advised that the firm should strictly work as per their scope. The firm, during the course of its review, found some show cause notices which have not matured into demands. तो ये क्या है? Hidden liabilities हैं. These are what? These are hidden liabilities क्योंकि फ्यूचर में राइज हो सकती हैं. Being issued against the target company, the firm also found out that there could be a potential high value labor claim which may arise out of the negotiation which was ongoing between the target company and the labor union, and the labor wage agreement was already expired. This is also what? This is also a hidden liability, right? The firm discussed all these matters with the management of the target company. The target company confirmed that these matters are under discussion and was confident that these matters would not result into any liability, and hence it did not consider the same in the initial price. The firm, after discussion with the target company, reported these matters to the acquirer, which they should have done obviously. In the given situation, please suggest which one of the following should be correct. So let's read all the options and decide which one is correct. In the given case, the initial price between the target company and the acquirer is already set, which includes the impact of contingent liabilities. Hence, the above mentioned matters relating to show cause notice and labor claims should be ignored by the firm. No, they cannot ignore this because it is a hidden liability. You should definitely consider this, right? And the initial price is already considered without considering these hidden liability, which is not correct. In the given case, the initial price between the target and the acquirer is already set, which includes the impact of contingent liabilities. However, since these matters have not been considered by the target company in the initial price, it would be appropriate to consider the impact of matter related to labor claim, as they may result in liability in future, but the matter related to show cause notice should be ignored. No, they cannot ignore. दोनों की दोनों ही hidden liabilities हैं. Next, in the given case, the firm has gone beyond its scope of financial due diligence review. Financial due diligence review covers review of trading results, assets and liabilities, and accounting policies, practices of the target company. The management of the target company should talk to acquirer so that the acquirer can ask the firm to limit its work as per the scope agreed. No, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, उसको चेक करना होगा. ये सारी चीज़ें भी उसके स्कोप के अंदर आती हैं. In the given case, even though the initial price between the target company and the acquirer is already set, but still the firm needs to look to any hidden liabilities. बिल्कुल सही बोला. Which may arise in the two cases, that is show cause notices and the labor claim. बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं. Accordingly, the firm has done the right thing by reporting these matters to the acquirer. Absolutely correct. So the correct option in this case is going to be D. I hope you have marked all the questions which you attempted incorrectly in the first go. Please mark them and please revise your mistakes so that you don't commit them again in the exams. Also, if you liked participating, liked watching this video, don't forget to give a big thumbs up to the video. and share your feedback, your comments in the comment section. And yeah, that's all for today, guys. In case you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Watch out other videos. In case you feel that this channel is worth subscribing, then please subscribe to the channel. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye.